I shared this story on Sunday morning. Years ago, my wife and I went to a convention in Philadelphia, and so we had some free time, and I went downstairs, and there was a couple elliptical machines and a treadmill, and so I jumped on the treadmill, and I knew I was going to eat bad that night, so I got on the treadmill. And how many have ever ran on a treadmill before? And I don't know, what does it go up to, like 12 or something, 13? I don't know, somewhere in there. So I hit about like a 5.0, just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a valet, the valet guy goes to get your car. Not real fast, just kind of, and I was just kind of cruising. Then a gal came in, and I could tell she was a runner. I mean, she was all decked out, really nice shoe. I don't know if she had Nikes or Hokas or what she had, but she just looked like a runner. She was really thin, and she jumps on the treadmill. There's like 3 or 4. She jumps on the one right next to me, and so now I'm 5.0. I'm kind of getting a little sweat going. She hits hers up. She goes faster than me. And I'm like, she ain't going to beat me. And I'm, come on, how many are a little competitive? Yeah. So I'm competitive, and come on, don't take this wrong, but like, there's no way that like a gal's going to beat me on the treadmill. And so I crank mine up, and now I'm at like 6.07, and I hear her, she's like, and I'm like, she's like, I'm like, and I was going, I don't know how fast, I had it as fast as, how many have ever been on a treadmill so fast? It's going so fast. Now I'm way back, and I can't reach the controls to slow down. You know what I'm saying? And we're having this little competition next to each other. And it just reminds me, this is like a picture of life, isn't it? Sometimes we just get going so fast. We can't stop. We can't pause. We can't slow down. In fact, tonight, just on purpose, I just asked a lot of youth and young adults as they were walking in. I do this on Sunday morning. Hey, how you doing? You know what answer I get all the time? I get 2 things. Hey, how you doing? 2 things. So number 1, I'm busy. Number 2, I'm tired. All the time. Busy? What did you say? Good. No, I don't get that. I hear busy and tired. I mean, like the last couple of years with COVID and they're trying to bring back masks. I rebuke him in the name of Jesus. How many know COVID and masks, and some of you had to go to school on like virtual? And then I got diagnosed with cancer and conflict and people moving away, and I mean, you just get tired. You ever feel tired? How many feel, come on, let's just be honest at church. How many feel just a little tired right now? Come on, just raise your hand. And then Jesus said, no, he says, come to me. And I was putting the message together the last couple of days, and I just told the Lord, I said, I just feel like incompetent, because I knew people would come tonight just stressed out and tired and worn out and exhausted. And I just told the Lord, I said, I just feel like I'm incompetent to really speak words of life to people that feel stressed out. I just feel like I don't have the words to say. I'm not eloquent enough, and I'm not smart enough. And the Lord said, just tell them. Here's what he told me to tell you. He said, just tell them that I got tired too. And I'll prove it to you a little later in John chapter 4. The Son of God, as he walked the earth, he got tired too. So how many know we're not alone? Come on, turn to your neighbor and say, we're not alone. We're not alone. And, on Sunday morning, I'm looking out, and I see a lot of people yawning. It's really humbling. I like every Sunday, like I'm preaching my face off, and I look out, and I'm just like, I see people like, and they're just tired. And you know what? I've learned to not say anything, because when I was a youth pastor in Ventura, my pastor, he preached 3 services on Sunday, and he got really mad at this one guy that fell asleep every Sunday. And so he talked to him after the service, and I was like from here, I could hear him. The pastor said to this guy, he said, I don't really appreciate you the last couple Sundays. I preached 3 services and all the preparation and all the prayer, and I'm pouring out my heart out on the pulpit, and every Sunday I look and you're falling asleep. And he said, Pastor, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you know this, but I just had brain surgery, and I'm on this heavy medication, and I probably shouldn't even be at church. It's everything for me to just come to church, and so I really apologize that I'm falling asleep during your sermon. And I sat there, and I was like, I'll never say anything if you fall asleep. You could put a hammock in the church on Sunday morning. I won't say anything. How many know, like, if you don't know somebody's story, it's hard to come to conclusion. I think sometimes we think people that are, they're just weak. Maybe they're just exhausted. We say, well, she's just really insecure. Maybe she's been abused. Jesus said, come. I just want to give you two things. I'll get out of your way. Number one, just write this down. God promises rest. God promises rest. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened. I will give you. I did this as a kid. I still do it now when my wife comes home with all the groceries. Hey, can you get the groceries? Yeah. And there's like 8, 10, 12, 14. Doesn't matter how many bags. I'm just going to take one trip. How many do that? Like one, especially if it's like cold or raining outside. I ain't coming back 2 or 3 times. So I'll get 4 bags on one hand and 4 bags on the other hand, maybe 5, and I've got something in my teeth. And, it's like I don't want to take and I don't know. I think I'm trying to be Superman or something, and sometimes that reads out in my life too. I try to do it all. Listen, I know you're Superman or Superwoman, but Jesus said, "Come to me, and I'll give you rest." If you feel overwhelmed, if you feel exhausted, if you feel tired, if you feel burdened, if you feel worn out, he said, come to me and I'll give you rest. Notice he says in verse 29, take my yoke upon you. Take my yoke upon you. Come on. Does this seem a little weird? Okay, God, I'm burnt out, I'm exhausted, and now you're telling me to take a yoke. That doesn't sound like it's getting easier. That sounds like it's getting harder, right? A yoke? You know what a yoke was? It was a wooden thing that would go over a farm animal, and it would attach to another farm animal, whether it was 2 donkeys or 2 horses or 2 cows. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Clydesdales. Do you know one Clydesdale can pull, 1,500 pounds? That's how strong those horses are. But check it, if you put a yoke around 2 Clydesdales, if one can carry 1,500 pounds, what do you think 2 can carry? 3,000, right? But no, actually 2 can carry 10,000. There's something powerful about the combination of 2 people coming together, and Jesus said, hey, you don't have to live your life alone. You don't have to carry the burden. Hey, yoke up to me, and I will give you rest. I think the problem is we try to carry too much. All right, I'll confess, I try to carry too much. And Jesus says, no, yoke up to me. Here's a great picture of yoke. Have you ever had car problems? You pull off to the side of the road, and if you have AAA, you call AAA. And AAA shows up, and what do? Your car can't move, can't start. So what they do is they jack up your car, and they hook your car to their truck. And now your car that had no power is receiving the power from the AAA. And then he says, hey, why don't you hop in the driver's seat? The only downside is they're going to charge you $80, $100, $150, depending on how far you want to go, right? That's a great example of yoking. Here's the good news. Listen, all of us, we get tired, we get exhausted, we get burnt out, we are overwhelmed, and God said, come and yoke with me. And here's the good news. It won't cost you anything like AAA might cost you. So he promises to give us rest. He promises to give us rest. He says, I'll give you rest. Notice he says in verse 30, for my yoke is easy. My yoke is easy. It means well-fitted. It's tailor-made. This is going to shock you. I played quarterback all the way up until 8th grade. And here's the reason why. Because in 9th grade, I was 4 feet 11 and a half. And how many know there's always like those 9th graders that they're like 6'4". I had 6'4", 6'5", mustache, muscles. I mean, they probably had 3 kids of their own. I was 4 feet 11. I'm like, I ain't playing foot. But I played quarterback all the way up until high school. And we had a really horrible offensive line. And so you're playing quarterback, you get the ball ready. And you got 11 people ready to take your head off. And so you go back, you're looking to either pass or to hand it off. But all the pressure's on you. They're coming to kill you. True or false? But the second you hand the ball off to the running back, all the pressure goes away. Now they're trying to rip the running back's head off, right? What a great picture. He says, take my yoke upon, my yoke is easy. My burden is light. He says, hand it off to me. You're feeling the pressure of life? Hand it off to me. He promises rest. Here's the second thing. Now I want to pray for you. And we're going to let God move. The promises of rest. Here's the second thing I want you to write down. That God not only promises, he provides it. In verse 28, he says, come to me. Come to me. Someone say, come to me. Notice he doesn't say come to church on Sunday. That's a good thing. But he doesn't say that. He doesn't say come to young adults on Wednesday night. He doesn't say come to a life group. He doesn't say come to a Bible study. He doesn't say, come to coffee with the young adults and hang out. No, he says come to me. He says come to me. I mean, when you're worn out, exhausted, overwhelmed, a massage is not going to do it. Massages are awesome. I just got my first one like 2 weeks ago. Because my wife goes like once a month. She gives it to my daughters. I'm like, oh. How many of you ever had a massage? I was at Massage Envy. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. That's awesome. But how many know after like an hour, you still got issues? So a massage isn't going to do it when you feel stressed out. Another person isn't going to help you a whole lot. Listen, go on vacation, take a walk, go to the beach. But how many know if you're stressed out, overwhelmed, and exhausted, you need Jesus. That's why he says, come to me, come to me. Come to me. Some of you had parents like this or father like this that you could never go to your father for anything. You don't need to raise your hand. I played basketball in high school. You're going to be like, he's old, yeah. Freshman year was 1979. Yeah. So I said, dang. Graduated in 1983. And if you don't know anything about the late 70s, it's like long hair was in. So I'll tell you about my high school coach. He had a buzz cut. When like long hair was in, he had a buzz cut. And he was like the most intimidating, unapproachable person on the planet. Hey, Coach, I was just wondering, do you have a second to talk? Nope. Hey, can I come after practice this afternoon? Nope. How about tomorrow? You got some free time? Nope. How about next week? Nope. Nope. Is there ever a good time? Nope. You know somebody like that? They don't have time. How many know Jesus isn't like that? He says, God love. He said, come to me. How about you can come to him at 10 o'clock at night, at 2 o'clock in the morning, at 5 a.m., at noon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you're stressed out. How many you can come to Jesus anytime? Here's what he says. I love this verse. The Bible says that he will never leave us or... I used to read that and I'm like, it sounds like the same thing. Leave and forsake. Those are the same things. And then I looked it up in the Hebrew. And it actually means that God will never leave you physically or abandon you emotionally. He'll never leave you physically. Some of you had people walk out on your life. Friends. That people, oh, Pastor Steve, we're here forever. We're never got your back. Greatest church ever. Oh. You had parents walk out on you. Jesus will never walk out. He'll never leave you, physically depart, or emotionally abandon. How many of you like horror movies? You got to be careful. Honestly, you got to be careful. But I think the last one I watched, I was like Halloween. I got dead because you're opening up your spirit to a lot of demonic stuff. Anyhow, I remember seeing The Exorcist and like vomits coming out, and the girl's head was spinning, and she was turning green. And I always wonder, like, when all this crazy stuff, like, how come they don't leave the house? It's like the walls are talking. You're hearing voices, and nobody leaves. It's like, I'm out of there. Let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. I ain't sticking around to find out if there's ghosts in my house. True or false? True or false, right? Check this out. We all have ghosts in our hearts. Come on, I could go down we all have proclivities. We all have sins. We all have secret things that we do. We all have issues. We all have habits, bad habits. We all have addictions. I could talk about pornography. I could talk about drugs. I could talk about people that are sleeping around. I could hit every person in this room right now because we all have ghosts in our closet. Here's the good news. God knows about our ghosts, and he still says, I'll never leave you nor forsake. Come on, put your hands together and give God some thanks. Come to me. Come on, someone say, come to me. Here it is. I said earlier, when I said, I don't know what to say to them tonight. And the Lord said, just tell them I get tired. John chapter 4. The Bible said, I'll explain. The Bible says that Jesus had to go through Samaria because he wanted to meet a woman at a well. So he goes to this place called Sychar, and he stops at a well called, listen, Jacob's well. And the Bible says that Jesus was tired, so he went by Jacob's well. Let me just tell you, Jacob's well was a place of spiritual significance, so Jesus stopped at the well because it was a spiritually significant place because he was tired. I want to know what well do you stop in when you're tired? Some of you get exhausted, overwhelmed, stressed out, and instead of sitting with Jesus, you go to the porn site. You go to the bar. You go to the alcohol. You go to Netflix and... I mean, if you go to the wrong well, you'll actually be more tired than you were before. It'll make you more exhausted, more worn out. I want to be honest with you tonight. I've gone to some wrong wells in the past. And they didn't satisfy me. That's why Jesus said, no. I mean, he's the answer. The answer is not found in power, position, prestige, popularity, influence. I want to be famous. No, he says, come to me. If you're burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you. What's the suitcase doing up here? So you guys are too young. Like, when I was your age, you would have to carry a suitcase across the airport. And if you travel with my wife, it's multiple suitcases. She left, so I could say that. I don't know when this was, 25, 30 years ago, somebody came up with a brilliant idea to put wheels on the bottom of the suitcase. I mean, same junk inside of the suitcase. It weighs the same. But now what I used to have to carry, check it out. Same stuff, same weight in there, but now I don't have to carry what I used to carry. I can roll it along. And Jesus says, hey, bring your weight, bring your stuff, bring your junk, bring it to me. Let me carry it. So he promises rest. Come to me and I'll give you rest. By the way, this is more than, man, I just ran like 3 miles. I'm really tired. No, it's a different kind of tired. Tired of being alone. Tired of being single. Tired of being depressed. Tired of being afraid. Tired of being misunderstood. Jesus, come to me. I'll give you rest. Notice, rest for your soul. Your soul. I think if we would look at me. I think if we would just sit with Jesus, we might start seeing like he sees. I think if we would just rest in him. Listen, we just might be refreshed by him. So I had a busy day, really busy. I was getting ready for tonight. I'm also preaching on Sunday, and I had a meeting at 3. I had a meeting at 3:30. I had a staff prayer at 4. I had a counseling session at 4:45. And I'm going to get up here and tell you to rest. And I had to sit on my couch and just had to sit with Jesus. Because I'm type A. I like to get stuff done. And Jesus, oh, you're going to be preaching tonight about rest, and you haven't done it today. I read my Bible early this morning, but I didn't sit. He says, come to me. Right next to the cafe, there's a kitchen there. Remember we first put in censored lights? They go, hey, we got censored lights. So you go in there, the lights turn on, and then after you leave for 10 minutes, they go off. So I got up to the door, and I was like, I put one, and it didn't come on. Didn't come on. I put 2 hands. Didn't come on. Didn't come on. I took 2 steps in. Didn't come on. It wasn't until I got all the way in the room, finally, the lights came on. And I just wonder how many times, We come to church on Wednesday night or Sunday, we put, okay. He's like, no, fully surrender. Come to me and I will give. Man, he knows your stuff. He knows your secret sins. You know what the enemy wants us to do is just to be convinced we're the only one going through it. Look at me. If you knew how many people that have been serving Jesus for decades come into my office and tell me, cheated on my wife, cheated on my husband, been looking at porn, addicted to, I hear everything. I've heard everything. You're not alone. And the enemy wants to convince you you're the only one doing it, and he wants you to hide. That's what happened in the garden, right? Adam and Eve, the first thing they did when they got busted, they hid. They sewed fig leaves. Listen, Jesus knows about your brokenness, about your proclivities, your addictions. And he still said, come to me. Come to me. I'll give you rest. So I purposely sat up the room this way because I left some room at the front. I just want us to just have an old-fashioned altar call. I just want Jesus to minister to you if you feel exhausted, worn out, depressed, suicidal, overwhelmed. He says, come to me, and I'll give you rest for your soul. Anybody here? You just feel, man, that's you? Why don't you meet me up at the front? We're going to let God move. We're going to sing a song. We're going to pray. We're going to lay hands on you. God's going to set you free. If you're not coming